So I like to keep all of my notes inside Cursor because I can quickly create a chat and ask it all the questions. And what I really miss is that the model doesn't really speak in my tone. So I actually decided to fine tune my own model on all of my notes. And I just want to share with you this experiment I ran yesterday. So how it works is that I have basically my notes and they're basically in this format. So sometimes it's like a cold email style format. Sometimes it's just my personal notes and investments. So here in my terminal, I'm actually going to generate the training data for this. And let's say I have this note where I was basically talking about how should I outreach to the people. And here basically use the Gemini to generate like those Q&A forms where it basically uses my own quotes and citations and asks questions. So for example, what are some ways how we automate the outreach? And the note is looking something like this. And basically it directly takes the quote from this. And if it's my note, it's going to be in my language. And I have this file where basically a prompt template where it basically asks it to generate like 3 to 8 pairs in a structured format. And here basically you have the Gemini 3 Pro, which is generating this. And in the end is returning like a list of all of these JSONs. And here's right now going to go off and generate for hundreds of my nodes, thousands of questions, and save them in the JSON lines format. So the format is looking something like this. It's just a simple .jsonl where you can see the user, which is like me asking or AI asking some question, and the answer is basically the content of what is going to be inside the answer. And I have thousands of those lines with all of the data about me, Stormy, some of my notes, SDK, how I think about stuff, and all of the answers are actually in my tone because I ask it to take the direct quotes from my notes. And in my terminal, I actually have this like train tinker from the quick start documentation and the data set of all the training data I just created, which took around like 10 minutes. And basically I used the DeepSeek and I used the full path for the training. And now what's gonna do is gonna go off and actually kickstart the process of the fine-tuning LoRa model on the Tinker, and it's gonna take some time. So for me, it actually for my all of my nodes, it took around like 5 hours to train the whole thing. So the result actually of the training, I ran it before, looks something like this. So basically it goes off and it has like, a lot of steps, like thousands of steps. It's taking the batches and you basically see what is the loss and what is some of the questions is being generated. And after I have done this, it took like literally 5 hours. If I go to my right, I have this thing where I have the file where I can test my model. And here I have the path, which I actually took from and here's, for example, one of the paths I had yesterday. And I'm going to take the sampler weights. I'm going to copy this Tinker path and I'm going to paste it here. And I sample the DeepSeek model and I put in the prompt, write a cold email in my style. So the thing is that all of the GPTs right now, they're really not helping with this because they don't know a lot of context. They're always writing not in my style and it feels like, eh. But the whole idea is that because it saw so many of my thought processes, it's actually going to try to like adapt it. And here you can see that, hey, I noticed you're doing some and specific activity, and I thought Stormy would help. And I'm a big fan that you're building a YC startup. I mean, this is like a message I could actually write to a person, and this feels actually like my style. I like it short, I like it brief, I like it straight to the point. And if you add more context, it's probably going to use some of it and like make a compliment. And this is how, for example, I communicate a lot. Go deep. So for example, it really catches the mood I have in my notes. And it's kind of learning to reply right now really short. I don't know why, but it's always replying like really in the sense of how I think. So for example, here I can see that it'll mark it alive. I like to ask questions, like short questions in the middle of the sentence, like why, and the answer that because marketing is like a lot of bullshit and AI can generate a lot of like slob. So you would never ever get a reply like this. And this is basically, like the take. I'm looking at this like how AI can optimize the campaign. This is the take actually I would have myself if I were to think about this deeply. So this is like really interesting because it kind of catches the mood I'm having in my notes. And you can also see that the marketing will be dead very soon because of AI. And this I actually really like to put like, for example, in the end of the sentence in my notes, like this will be the reason why, and like why, because, what. So like being straight to the point and like being aggressive inside of the sentence. So this is really interesting because it took me like $3 to train the model on all of my notes I exported from Notion. And yeah, let me know what you think. I can publish like a sample repo for you. And I think this could be really interesting.